Today I'll be reacting to 5 times Larry Bird was injured but refused to quit. So let's go right into the video.
I think it's one of those things that as the years go by, it'll become bigger and bigger and bigger.
What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm back with another video, where this time once again, we have to talk about Larry Legend, one of my favorite players of all time. And I think even the most casual NBA fan knows that Larry Bird in his career was a very tough player, and he overcame tremendous adversity as well as injuries.
Oh yeah, for sure. Larry Bird is one of the toughest players in NBA history for sure. He's right about that. Larry Bird is one of the toughest players ever.
Was a very tough player, and he overcame tremendous adversity as well as injuries. And I wanted to make a very quick video explaining how tough Larry Bird was and just some of the big time injuries he overcame. So with that being said, let's get into the video and look at 5 times Larry Bird overcame injuries and absolutely dominated. So the first injury we're going to look at is from 1979, before Larry Bird was even in the NBA. And this injury occurred in a friendly softball game with Larry Bird's brother as well as friends. And here's Jackie McMullen explain this very bizarre and peculiar injury.
Well, he shows up, and who's on the other team but his brother? So Larry's playing out in the outfield, and his brother hits this kind of spinning, looping ball, almost like a Tim Wakefield knuckleball. It's just spinning all over the place. And Larry tries to go down and make a basket catch, and his finger goes all the way back, and he's like, man, wow, it really hurts. And he looked down, and his finger was completely dislocated and mangled, and, you know, it really was bothering him. He had to stop playing right away. And so now remember, he's been drafted by the Celtics during this point, but he has not signed a contract yet. So his finger is in a bad way. He has to have major surgery with clips put in and pins and everything else. And he never tells the Celtics this has happened. But, you know, sooner or later they get word, and they summon him to Boston. And the trainer examines him and says, and the team doctor examines him, and they say to Red Auerbach, this guy's damaged goods. Now, Red's like, really? So he says, come on, Larry, get dressed. So Larry puts on his stuff. Red throws him the ball. He goes out. He starts shooting from all over the floor. He's hitting from everywhere. Throws him a few bounce passes, has him throws a few overhead passes, and he said, you look fine to me, kid. And Bird said, great. But Bird to this day will tell you he's never had the same feel for the basketball.
So obviously pretty...
Wait, hold up. Now, I'm not gonna lie. If I was in Larry Bird's situation too, I'm hiding from the Celtics too. I ain't telling them nothing. I gotta sign that contract. I ain't saying nothing about no injury. But the examiner or the doctor, whoever, the brother dislocated his finger. He said he was damaged goods. It's not like the brother torn an ACL in both legs. The finger gonna be all right. Like, you can still shoot with a jacked up finger now. Like Jackie McMullen said, Larry Bird will say that he never felt like had a great feel for the basketball again, but at least he can feel the basketball. At least he can feel it. Now, if it was like numb, oh, that would have been bad. That would have been real bad. But I ain't gonna lie though. But like basketball, oh, the worst, probably one of the worst injuries. It's minor, but man, it's painful when it happens. In basketball, say like somebody throw you a pass, or say like you trying to steal the ball and you have your hand out, then the ball just, and the ball just take one of your fingers like back. Oh my gosh. I'm glad I never had a dislocated finger, but my goodness, I had a lot of sprained fingers. I had a lot of sprained fingers in my life. Those sprained fingers ain't no joke. Of course, you still could play through it. But man, at the time, oh my gosh, it's bad. But dislocated finger, man, I never had nothing like that. That's tough. But yeah, if I got injured before I signed a contract, I ain't telling nobody. But still, though, calling Larry Bird damaged goods after a dislocated finger is insane, though. That's wild.
Passes, and he said, you look fine to me, kid. And Bird said, great. But Bird to this day will tell you he's never had the same feel for the basketball.
So obviously a pretty bad finger injury that affected Bird for the rest of his life. And around 2010, Larry Bird gave an interview and said his finger to this day is shaped like a boomerang at a 45-degree angle pointing toward his thumb. And he's had 2 surgeries that have failed to straighten it out. But I think the most intriguing thing in that clip is that Larry Bird himself said he never had the same feel for the basketball after this injury. And Bird for his career already was one of the best shooters of all time. He was the first player ever to win the 50-40-90 club, and he routinely shot over 90% from the line. But with that being said, Bird actually could have been a better shooter than he was in the NBA if it wasn't for that devastating finger injury. Now next up on the Bird injury list, we go to his back, one of the worst injuries a player could ever have.
I ain't gonna lie though, Larry Bird did still turn out to be a great shooter, even though with a jacked up finger. I'm guessing the dislocated finger had to be on his shooting hand. If I missed it, I don't think the narrator or Jackie said anything, but I'm guessing the dislocated finger was in his shooting hand. I'm guessing that, because I don't think anyone said that. So I'm guessing that was in his shooting hand, because he said he never had a great feel for the basketball game. I'm guessing that's common sense, but how they talking about it, so I'm guessing the dislocated finger was in the shooting hand. Yeah, for having a jacked up finger and never having a great feel for the basketball again, yeah, Larry Bird still turned out to be a great shooter and scored. He still turned out to be a great shooter.
List, we go to his back, one of the worst injuries a player could ever have. And this injury for Bird occurred in 1985 in the middle of his prime. And here's his doctor, as well as a few commentators, talking about how tough Bird was and how difficult it was for him to even play a basketball game.
Larry had two jobs his last 7 years of playing. It was playing basketball, and then it was him being committed to taking care of his back.
He had first heard it in 1985, building the driveway at his mom's house back in French Lick.
Larry decides to do it himself. This is Larry Bird, the superstar, out there breaking his back, literally shoveling gravel. And that was the beginning of a process.
I would see him on TV laying down, and then they told me that he had to lay down on planes, different things like that. And I was like, wow.
As magic soared through the prime of his career, Bird was breaking down. His deteriorating back and punishing style of play proving an excruciating mix.
From 88 to 92, it was painful to watch. It was painful to cover. Larry is quite ornery when he's not feeling well, which means he was ornery for those next 4 years.
He could manage the pain in a way that very few people can do.
If you get paid to go to work, you got to go to work.
It was a situation that he was seeing almost daily. He had lost the structural stability in his spine, so it would slip into abnormal positions to try and lock itself to get an artificial stability. That's like getting your finger stuck in a door and somebody's still pushing on the door. So what we had to do was unlock his spine, realign it, do techniques that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours.
Wait, did he just say they had to unlock his spine and realign it? That's insane. Oh my goodness.
On the door. So what we had to do was unlock his spine, realign it, do techniques that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours, that type of thing, and then he'd go play basketball.
So obviously that back injury was pretty devastating for Bird, and it kind of marked the end of his prime. But even with that being said, Bird in his last 7 seasons still put up tremendous stats, averaging 25.1 points per game, 9.3 boards, 7.0 assists on near 50-40-90 splits.
Yeah, those still are great stats. With a messed up finger and a messed up back, yeah, he still was hooping. He still was hooping. But I'm very curious, did anybody ask Larry Bird, do he regret that? He could have easily got somebody to help out his mama. I'm just curious to see, did he regret that decision? But yet again, you can't really regret helping your mama either, so I don't know. I don't know. That's low-key tough, like, dang. You had back problems for the rest of your NBA career? In my opinion, especially now how much NBA players make, like if I wanted to help my mom with the driveway, I probably would have got somebody, like called a company or a business to help her out. I would have just paid for the full thing or something like that. But me physically, no. Especially if I was like Larry Bird caliber, he probably would be making like 50 to 60 million a year. In today's NBA, I for sure would have had a company help my mama out and just pay them. My mama wouldn't have to spend no money. Personally, me, I would have done that. But man, I'm just curious to see, did he regret that? I'm trying to see, did anybody ask him that? Yeah, but this stretch right here where he averaged 25 points per game, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 50% from the field, 39% from 3, 91% from the free throw line. Yeah, that's still amazing. That's still great.
Devastating for Bird, and it kind of marked the end of his prime. But even with that being said, Bird in his last 7 seasons still put up tremendous stats, averaging 25.1 points per game, 9.3 boards, 7.0 assists on near 50-40-90 splits. Those stats right there from an offensive perspective are still some of the best stats of all time. And once again show Bird could handle pain like few athletes ever. And one of the most remarkable things I've ever heard comes from Larry Bird's former teammate, that being Robert Parrish. According to Parrish, Larry Bird never took painkillers, pills, or any shots in his entire career. Bird simply toughed it out and showed mental toughness as well as physical toughness and played basketball at the highest level for 7 more years. Now also...
Wait, hold up. This man took no painkillers, no shots, no pills, or anything? Yeah, Larry Bird might not be human. Yeah, he might not be human for that. I'm not gonna lie. He might not be human for that. Nothing? Like, he took nothing for his pain? Oh my goodness. You had to take something. Like, nothing? Yeah, that's wild. Now, in today's NBA, I feel like with a lot of players with Larry Bird injury history, they will sit out. If you know you can play through it, I think a lot of players now will be taking pills, painkillers, shots, and all of that. But Larry Bird taking none? Oh, that's unbelievable, low-key. That's unbelievable. I'm for sure taking something. I'm taking something. Thinking about it, I might take that back, low-key, because he would have had to been on that for years. Stuff like that, you can low-key build an addiction, which is not great. I probably took some things, but like constantly, like every day, I don't know. I don't know about that. Because that can, like, especially like painkillers and stuff like that, and pills, yeah, that can cause an addiction, low-key. That can cause an addiction. I said I would, but I might hold back on that a little bit, thinking about it. I might hold back on that.
According to Parrish, Larry Bird never took painkillers, pills, or any shots in his entire career. Bird simply toughed it out and showed mental toughness as well as physical toughness and played basketball at the highest level for 7 more years. Now, also one thing Larry Bird was known for in his career was being mentally tough. And here's a quick story from Kevin McHale talking about Larry Bird's mental toughness after being stuck down in an airport for 10 straight hours.
Back then when we flew commercial, we didn't fly private. We played in a Tuesday night game in Cleveland. And of course we got up for the first flight out. We had a game on Wednesday night in New Jersey. Snowstorm hits Cleveland. We're at the airport at 7 in the morning. Flight's canceled at 7. It's canceled at 8. It's canceled at 9. It's canceled at 10. Canceled at 11, 12. We finally leave about 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon. We fly up to New Jersey. Now the storm has kind of moved into Jersey. And the bus driver says, well, I can't get to the hotel into the arena. I can only go to one place. Well, we had a game that night. We go to the arena. So we get to the arena, and I mean, we're dragging. And we're sitting around the locker room, and, and everybody's kind of, we're tired. And, and all of a sudden, the coach gives a little bit of a speech of, come on, man, guys, we're playing basketball. Let's get ready to go. And Larry stands up, and Larry says, a couple other few choice words, and he says, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to take it out on their rear ends. So I was like, oh, all right, so let's go. So we go on the floor. Albert King sitting there. Larry walks up to Albert King and goes, don't take this butt whooping personally. I've been eating hot dogs all day. And then Albert King looks at him like, you've been eating hot dogs all day? What's that got to do with me? And we went out and just hammered him. I mean, we terrorized them. And that was Larry. There was no excuses. I mean, he just played. And I tell you, that was just his competitive nature. But a day when you fly all day and eat hot dogs in the airport, best thing was Albert's look on his face like, what hot dogs got to do with me?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. What? I ain't gonna lie. That's great leadership right there. But tell somebody you ate hot dogs all day is hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. That is great mental toughness, and that's great leadership. But man, stuck 10 hours at an airport? That story funny though. Let's go back a little bit. That's hilarious.
Was like, oh, all right, so let's go. So we go on the floor. Albert King sitting there. Larry walks up to Albert King and goes, don't take this butt whooping personally. I've been eating hot dogs all day. And then Albert King looks at him like, you've been eating hot dogs all day? What's that got to do with me? And we went out and just hammered him. I mean, we terrorized them. And that was Larry. There was no excuses. I mean, he just played. And I tell you, that was just his competitive nature. But a day when you fly all day and eat hot dogs in the airport, best thing was Albert's look on his face like, what hot dogs got to do with me?
That's funny. That's funny. Telling Albert King, don't take this butt whooping personally. I've been eating hot dogs all day. Like, what? If somebody told me that with a court, I'll be looking at them like, what? Why did you have to tell me that? Like, you didn't have to say that. Like, what? I don't care if you ate hot dogs all day. That's funny. Now, that's actually hilarious. I've been saying in past Larry Bird videos, Larry Bird is actually a very funny guy. He is hilarious. Larry Bird is too funny.
Terrorized them. And that was Larry. There was no excuses. I mean, he just played. And I tell you, that was just his competitive nature. But a day when you fly all day and eat hot dogs in the airport, best thing was Albert's look on his face like, what hot dogs got to do with me?
And that story from Kevin McHale, for the most part, is pretty comical, but I think it still shows Larry Bird had extreme mental toughness. And when it came to playing basketball, he would give it his best every single night. And I actually went back to Larry Bird's game charts, and I found this game from 1986 on April 13th. In this game, Boston beat New Jersey by 28 points. Larry Bird had 26, 4, and 3 on 64% shooting, and he didn't miss a single three-pointer or a single free throw. And what makes it even more impressive to me is this game versus New Jersey was the last game of the season. Bird could have easily packed it in and waited for the playoffs, but still, he wanted to play this game for his teammates as well as his coaches. And that year in '86, Larry Bird didn't miss a single game playing all 82. And if you compare that mindset...
Hey, respect to Larry Bird for that, for playing all 82 games. Especially he played that last game, though. He was hooping. He was hooping. But yeah, playing all 82 games, shout out to Larry Bird. These days, it's not a lot of athletes playing 82 games, but yet again, athletes today do get a lot of injuries, and injuries is out of their control. I can't blame them for getting hurt. I don't think they plan on getting injured. That's just out of their control. But I'm just saying, today's NBA, you don't see a lot of players play 82 games.
Still, he wanted to play this game for his teammates as well as his coaches. And that year in '86, Larry Bird didn't miss a single game playing all 82. And if you compare that mindset from Bird to the modern day players, it's simply night and day. I pretty much guarantee you, any modern day superstar will 100% sit out that game and rest for the playoffs, but not Larry Bird.
Absolutely. I see no problem with that. If they did want to sit out that game, I see no problem with that right there. I don't see no problem with that. I'm not going to get mad at them for that. We got a playoff spot secured. We got the best record in NBA. Best home record. We already got home court advantage. Why are we playing this game? Still, respect to Larry Bird for playing. I'm just saying, I'm not going to get mad at a player or the star players for not playing the last game of the season, which is meaningless to them.
Will 100% sit out that game and rest for the playoffs, but not Larry Bird. And when talking about Larry Bird in his prime, 1980 to '86, really before his big-time injuries, he played 561 out of 574 games. He played all 82 games 3 times and over 36 minutes per game every single year. In 2 years, he actually led the NBA in minutes per game. So back in the day, Larry Bird, if he could walk, he was 100% suiting up and playing basketball. But the one time in Bird's career where he simply could not play was in 1989. This year, Larry Bird had severe bone spurs, he had what many people thought was a broken foot, and he had double Achilles surgery.
Man, my goodness. Whoa. Man. Larry Bird's whole body was jacked up. Oh my goodness. Man. Let's go back to that chart though. So from 1980 to 1986, he played 561 out of 574 games. He played all 82 games 3 times, and he played over 36 minutes per game 7 times. Yeah, shout out to Larry Bird. Pretty much what the narrator said. If he could walk, he was playing. Shout out to Larry Bird.
The NBA in minutes per game. So back in the day, Larry Bird, if he could walk, he was 100% suiting up and playing basketball. But the one time in Bird's career where he simply could not play was in 1989. This year, Larry Bird had severe bone spurs, he had what many people thought was a broken foot, and he had double Achilles surgery. And back in the day, an Achilles injury could possibly be the end of your career. But once again, not for Larry Bird, as the following year, he had a very great and underrated season, averaging 24.3 points per game, 9.5 boards, 7.5 assists, while playing 75 games at 39.3 minutes per game, while leading the NBA in free throw percentage.
That still is a good season following all them injuries. I wish he said the field goal percentage and the 3-point percentage though. I really do want to see that. But this is still a great season. I'm not taking nothing away from this. This is still a great season. I just wanted to see them numbers. This is a great season. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. That's excellent. That's excellent. I'm not trying to take nothing away from Larry Bird.
Games at 39.3 minutes per game, while leading the NBA in free throw percentage. So even after all those injuries, Larry Bird once again came back to all-star form, and he overcame double Achilles surgery. Now the last Bird injury we have is in 1991, and this injury is also the last great Larry Bird moment in the 91 playoffs versus the Indiana Pacers. And to kind of set the stage, in this series, Boston, they were heavily favored, but in games 1 through 4, Bird was not playing up to par, only averaging 18 points per game, 9 assists, 8 boards, on 37% shooting and 11% from 3. And back in the day in the first round, it was a best-of-5 series, so Game 5 was a winner-take-all game. And near halftime of this game, Larry Bird would go down with a severe head injury, possibly a broken cheekbone, as well as a mild concussion.
Right here, the swipe knocks it free. Bird on the floor, then left hand keeps it alive, but he stays down.
Larry Bird had every single injury you can think of. Like, dead serious. Man, he played through a lot, my goodness. Whoa. But this series, specifically with the Pacers, though, like what the narrator said with games 1 through 4, he was not hooping, though.
All game. And near halftime of this game, Larry Bird would go down with a severe head injury, possibly a broken cheekbone, as well as a mild concussion.
Right here, the swipe knocks it free. Bird on the floor, then left hand keeps it alive, but he stays down for a long time. What effort by Larry Bird.
And Larry Bird is headed directly.
Y'all saw his head, though? Oh, my gosh.
What effort by Larry Bird.
And Larry Bird is headed directly to the locker room for treatment.
But in typical Larry Bird fashion, he would tough it out and come back in the middle of the third quarter.
And here comes Larry Bird. But certainly this out of the pages of Willis Reed in Game 5 of the championship series involving the Knicks and the Lakers in 69-70.
Larry Bird is one of the toughest players in NBA history. Most definitely. He's for sure one of the toughest players in NBA history. That man played through everything. That is crazy.
But certainly this out of the pages of Willis Reed in Game 5 of the championship series involving the Knicks and the Lakers in 69-70.
And in this Game 5 in the Boston Garden, from that moment on, Larry Bird would dominate for the remaining 18 minutes of that game, having 17 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists, on 60% shooting, leading Boston to a 3-point win. And that Game 5 versus Indy is the last great Larry Bird moment.
Wait, hold up. Did he just say he had 17 points in the remaining 18 minutes? Hold up, I need to hear them stats again. Hold up.
On Larry Bird would dominate for the remaining 18 minutes of that game, having 17 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists, on 60% shooting, leading Boston to a 3-point win.
In 18 minutes, 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 60%. Yeah, he was hooping. Oh my goodness. He played better after the injury than before it. That is insane.
5 assists, on 60% shooting, leading Boston to a 3-point win. And that Game 5 versus Indy is the last great Larry Bird moment as he overcame injury and dominated in that second half. So with that being said, that is the end of the video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. How tough do you think Larry Bird was? Is he the greatest trash talker of all time? And where do you rank him on your all-time list? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.
Now let me go back. I want to answer them last 3 questions he said. Let me go back.
So with that being said, that is the end of the video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. How tough do you think Larry Bird was?
Okay, how tough do I think Larry Bird was? Y'all can put y'all answers in the comments as well. He had a lot of stories. Larry Bird, like playing through injuries. I pretty much said it some minutes ago about Larry Bird. He's one of the toughest players in NBA history.
In the video, let me know your guys' thoughts. How tough do you think Larry Bird was? Is he the greatest trash talker of all time?
Okay, so the second question was, is Larry Bird the greatest trash talker of all time? There were a lot of great trash talkers in NBA history. He's definitely in the conversation for being the greatest trash talker. Players like him, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Gary Payton, Kevin Garnett, there's probably some other people I didn't mention, but all of them are great trash talkers. If you think Larry Bird is the best at trash talking, I'm not mad at you for that. I'm not mad at you for that. I completely understand. Larry Bird was a great trash talker, but so many other players that was great at it as well. So it's kind of like hard to pick out, oh, he's the greatest.
Let me know your guys' thoughts. How tough do you think Larry Bird was? Is he the greatest trash talker of all time? And where do you rank him on your all-time list?
And the final question is, where do you rank Larry Bird all time? In my opinion, I think Larry Bird is a top 10 player in NBA history. I got him 6th all time. So my GOAT is LeBron James. Number 2, I got Michael Jordan. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 4, Kobe Bryant. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Then Larry Bird after Magic Johnson. Well, I might as well finish my top 10. So like I said, Larry Bird at 6, Shaq at 7. I got Wilt at 8, Tim Duncan at 9. 10? It's either Hakeem or Stephen Curry. In my opinion, I'll have Hakeem. I don't think Stephen Curry is in the top 10 yet. He haven't retired yet, so he might be in the top 10 when he retire. But I don't think Stephen Curry is in the top 10 yet. Now, if you do think Stephen Curry is top 10, I'm not mad at you. But yeah, those are my top 10 players.
Is the greatest trash talker of all time, and where do you rank him on your all-time list? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.
This was a great video. Shout out to Uncut Hoops. So comment down below y'all answers to them 3 questions. Is Larry Bird the toughest player of all time? Is he the greatest trash talker of all time? And where do you rank Larry Bird all time in NBA history? I'm curious to see what everyone think. Furthermore, like and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you won't miss another video from me. And I hope everyone have a blessed day. I'm out.